So I would like to thank you very much, HOD sir, Professor Paramshivam, and Professor Shabil sir, giving this great opportunity. And as a part of the guest lecture series on environmental studies course, the Department of Chemistry today is organizing guest lecture on agriculture pollution, source and solutions by Dr. Sharonan Rangaras. Okay, so I would like to give a brief introduction about today's guest speaker. So currently is working as a research officer in the Environmental Centre Walsall, School of Natural Science, Bangor University, UK. So he did PhD in chemistry from National University of Ireland in 2008 to 2012, and so after that he moved. Then he carried out postdoctoral research and currently is working as a research officer. So his area of research interest and experience, which includes biological fuel cells, biosensors, bioelectronic chemistry, electrodes, surface engineering, bioengineering. He is having a lot of publications with high impact journals, which is more than a dozen publications, and he is awarded like Young Scientist Award and Charles Person Energy Research Award, and so many. I have mentioned very few, and with this very brief introduction, so I would like to welcome today guest speaker, Dr. Sharonan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for your warm welcoming, and I'm happy to join such a big community today. Thank Dr. Sabil. I think he mentioned there are like 500 people on board, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's now around 300 students joined.
Wow, that's really amazing. I'm happy to be on board. It's a nice experience. Like I haven't been. We usually have a Microsoft team meetings like 20, 30 people on board, but this is the first time I'm getting excited. Hope all goes well. So I'm going to share the presentation. Just let me know if I'm not audible, or anytime just feel free to stop me or interrupt me. So it should be fine. So I'm going to start my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
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 Sorry. Can I start?
Yeah, you can. Everything.
Yeah, so you can see my slides, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Agricultural
thank you.
production, source and solutions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, VITAP, and I really happy to Dr. Sabil for giving this opportunity to be on board to connect 300 people on board. I'm here to share few things and also show you some exciting stuff what we are doing in our research institution. So which is almost like it's aligning well with the subject which the students are undergoing. So the topic will be today's agriculture pollution sources and solutions. And like mostly to give a brief introduction about me, I'm Saravanan from Madurai, south of India. I then moved in 2008 for my PhD, and I'm finally settled here in UK, Environmental Centre Wales in Bangor University. So I would like to give a quick introduction, like where we are, what we are doing, and what's our current research program. So here you can see we are located almost like west of UK. So we have England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So these four countries, they're called United Kingdom. So we are in Wales now, towards the close to Dublin. The Bangor University is one of the very old universities, and we have very good reputation here. And in Bangor University, we are the Environmental Centre Wales. We are working more on environmental research, and here are the few current programs we are running now. One program is very interesting and like hotspot is like what wastewater research program. We are tracking the COVID-19 viruses. This is like it's a huge program, like sampling the viruses in the wastewater treatment and tracking where the spread comes through the discharge and how the wastewater influences the how it spreads through the community. And also, most importantly, I want to talk about like we are more involved in agriculture research. So we are focused on soil health, crop productivity, sensors, nutrient management, and social research. So we have like 40 people on board, including postdocs, researchers, PhD students, and also exchange people at the moment. One program which I'm particularly interested is like the sensors. That's what my topic is. So I'm developing sensors for the soil for the precision agriculture to monitor the nutrient in the soil. So usually everything will be the lab based, but with the liquid, but there's no technology for soil based system. So I'm just developing sensors for monitoring nutrient in the agriculture field. So I would like to start with the interesting slide. See how we are like almost like um, in 2050 will be like 10 billion of world population, and 2020 we are currently like close to 8 billion. It's surprising to see like we have food in our plate, like everybody's the world is feeding, the agriculture industry is feeding everyone in the world, and how it's important to keep this on face and to get the food and produce the food and like to protect the environment as well. So the problem is like the agriculture is shrinking more, like we don't have people are moving out of agriculture, the intensive practices, populations increasing, land and all the natural resources being polluted because of the intensive agriculture practices to feed to keep the agriculture production to meet all the demands of the people and the world population. So what impacted is that we need to have high yielding crops. So that's why we're getting the genetically modified plants in field. Just not really good. Like they completely change the environment and also spoil the natural varieties. To improve the yield, we also add more fertilizers, just more like we're dumping it more, I have to say, more than normal level, and using pesticides to keep it more pest in control, and also for the cattle to increase the meat production. All the animals it went indoors. So the most important thing is to eradicate or like ditch all these practices and convert them into organic farming. But this is not easy at what we think. Is like it takes time, it takes more money than as we expected, and farmers are a bit reluctant to obtain this organic farming because it's you need to be more technically skilled and more informed about what people are doing and cost economics for the farming. So here's some couple of slides I'd quickly show like what happens in the agro system and how we are getting polluted. So one good example is Monsanto. So this is the huge corporate companies that are trying to influence the whole world. I say like they have more genetically modified plants which are trying to disseminate in the world. And also, I think it's kind of these corporate companies are killing farming based on the wrong policies they have. So, for example, like all the agrochemicals we need now to increase the meat production is like we have pesticides to control the fungicides, herbicides, and all to keep the plants in more healthier. And I think these pesticides they have hidden problems for the soil, the below and above ground pollution. And also we use a lot of plant growth regulators like plant growth promoters, which is not natural stuff. And recently the big problem is like using fertilizers, man-made fertilizers. I think it's more of corporate companies are trying to push farmers to use more fertilizers and get more yield. And also we use the soil conditioners chemicals in the animal husbandry. The more important is like the hormones like antibiotics for the animals. we feed more of these antibiotics and hormones to animals to get more flesh, more milk, and all those things, which is also harmful for the agriculture. So I want to insist, go or work on, like, explain more on this slide, which is the basis for all the farming. Usually, like, all the soil has the organic materials, like it can turn into a nutrient for a plant, but we're not letting time for all these things to happen. So to meet the demands, like short-term cultivation, like it's of 6 months or 8 months, to meet the demands and get the productivity and produce more quickly in 3 months time, half of the what expected, we use these chemical fertilizers, which contains the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. We call as an NPK fertilizers. So what happens, we use these fertilizers, it goes into the soil and it changes the biological system. So it's not letting you for a normal process of organic matter to convert into inorganic substance, and then the plants, it's having a competence with the natural system, where you cannot revert back into the normal crop rotation and normal organic farming. So once you start to use these the chemical fertilizers, you need to keep on the face, and it's going on. So one common problem is, like, atmosphere is having like 78% of nitrogen, but the plants cannot take this nitrogen naturally, but we need to have like alternative routes. So you can have here, you can see a complete picture where the pollution comes through. So this is one picture that explaining everything, what's happening in the agricultural system. So since plants cannot uptake the nitrogen from the atmosphere, you need to trade or like train the soil so that the plants has the available nitrogen for the uptake, but this is not possible. So that's why we are applying fertilizer, doing the crop rotation in such a way that these plants, the ammonium and nitrate are being available for the plants, and then they can fix into the roots and they can grow well. But instead, so there are a lot of drivers in the soil, which is more like which is more, we are more interested in our department to see where are the drivers of this pollution and how this ammonium is being converted into nitrate. So for example, this is the form nitrate NO3 minus. This is the form where the plants can uptake the nitrate compared to the ammonium form. So all the ammonium has to be converted to nitrate. So we have to fix the nitrogen. There's a process of once you have the fertilizers, it's called ammonium nitrate fertilizers, and that has to be converted into nitrate for the assimilation, plants assimilation. So we have the process called nitrification and denitrification, all the process being enhanced by the microbes in the soil. And then finally, you can, once you get the product, plants can uptake. But instead, if you use more excess of these fertilizers, it will be like more excess of nitrate that can leach into the soil and also leach into surface of the water. And also there's the greenhouse gas production into a production, and also along with the methane, which is the pollution. So I'm audible?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So this is where the pollution comes from, like, and this is where we need to fix the agriculture system to keep a balance where we can have the produce in a good way, saving the environment and also cost benefit for the farmers, and keep it all in a balance. So this is where we can fix the pollution here. So I'm not going to go much detail into it, and quickly show what's happening here. So usually, like, there's a process of below and above ground pollution happening with the nitrate system, fertilizer system, where while fixing the plants, fixing the nitrogen, we have a lot of pollutions coming out. So while crop rotation, the nitrification, denitrification, and all the biological transformation, there's a problem here, and we need to be more careful, like how we can uptake this nitrogen and how the plants can fix the nitrogen into the soil. So here are the few examples of how the bacteria like converts the ammonium to nitrate, and nitrate to nitrite, and nitrate to nitrate to nitrate, and then to nitrogen again. So this is a cycle where a lot of ammonium nitrifiers nitrate oxidizing bacteria and denitrifying bacteria plays into role, and the science is beautiful to see the transformation. And also, like, you might be well aware about leguminous plant. So these plants, they don't need anything. Even if they have they can assimilate the nitrogen from this atmosphere, and they can fix the nitrogen. So it's important to identify such plants to grow and for the crop rotation, so that they can fix the nitrogen in the soil. So they don't need the fertilizers for external fertilizers to be fed into the soil. So this is more environmental friendly way of crop rotation. So it's very important, like, we balance such all these reactions to be more environmental friendly, to produce a crop that will prevent the pollution. So this picture, this gives you a picture and to show how we can fix the nitrogen in the plants in an environmental friendly mode, and how we can track it. So our research is based on how we are going to treat this system in a fair way, so that we can reuse this solution and more for improve the farming for the high yield crops. So we have a huge problem now with the human health, environmental effects, and economic effects with the soil pollution and water pollution, air pollution. So if you take as an agriculture field, it pollutes everything more than the other sectors, like compared to industries and all those things. So it pollutes the soil, water, and also air. So chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and pathogens, they can go into the soil, and then nitrate leaching, antibiotics, vaccination, growth promoters that's provided to animals, it can also leach and go into the water. And the air pollution is like more amount of nitrous oxide, like it's a and methane for the cattle farming. All these greenhouse gases emits from the agriculture field. So it's highly it's unimaginable to think about, like, see how the fertilizer, like farming, contributes for the pollution, which changes the climate, which influences the climate change that needs to be addressed. So here's one good example. See how the pollution is being triggered. Farmers, for example, they need a high yield. For example, like, they want to produce more tons per hectare. So they're tempted to use more of fertilizers into the soil. So they're not well informed. They're not educated. What they want finally, they want the yield. That's the final target. But they don't bother about anything. They don't bother about the soil. They don't bother about the pollution, and they don't bother about the economics. So the farmers, like, they don't have any information. They just do the fertilizer on the season base without testing the soil. And once you go for high fertilizers, there's a problem of pollution, like you trigger the N2 emissions, leaching, and all those things. And you can reach the high nitrate levels in soil, water, and the N2 pollution. So this is a problem. So this is where, like, we need to fix where we can train the farming and reduce the pollution. So this graph is very beautiful. Like, once the grain yield is high, your nitrate levels goes into the soil high, and then therefore it leaches off. So anything above this input fertilizer input above this scale is not going to benefit. It's going to be waste and going to enter the system. And one big problem the agricultural waste is being can be seen is the algal blooming. I don't know, like, many people might have been familiar with this dead zones or eutrophication system. So what happens due to the intensive agriculture, once there's a huge flood or rains, and that being all the agriculture waste being washed away, and it gets into the lake, or it gets into the seawater, and you can see one example, like, see how it's being flooded. And once this system, the high nutrient solution enters into the seawater. This is a NASA satellite taken from I think close to the Baltic Sea or something, I'm not sure, but still you can see the algal bloomings in the seawater. See what happens if such system being polluted, and it depletes all the oxygen, and it kills all the aquatic culture, and it depletes all the oxygen, and it's a danger to all the aquatic system. And you can see the fish, one fish dead here, and it completely kills the ecosystem. So we lose food there, we don't have a proper ecosystem. Aquatic culture is lost, the depletion of oxygen, and the sort of greenhouse gas emissions and pollutions in from the farming. So harmful algal blooms are not safe. Sometimes, like it spoils the drinking water, so the water is unsafe for all the lakes and the local community, and also releases the greenhouse gases and all completely degrade the aquatic food supply. And this is more dangerous than what we think. Imagine if you don't have potable water or drinking water, if it has a lot of dissolved solids, it's not good for health. So this one example again, like instead of using the nitrogen fertilizers, if you treat them properly, you can manage them without the external fertilizers input, and that can fix all the natural process of preventing pollutions. So once this system nitrogen goes on well, in more nitrogen fertilizer goes in, it gives a problem for below and above ground pollution. It triggers the pollution automatically, and instead, like, we need to fix this problem of how well we can manage a nitrate, and then keep them low as much as possible to increase the yield and reduce the pollution. So you can see, as I said before, the N2O, which is one of the, and also methane, which are the two greenhouse gases emissions from the agriculture field, and not from the transportation, not from industrial exposures or any other pollution. So it's shocking to see that 74% of agriculture soil releases the N2O for the contribution of the pollution. So this needs to be minimized for the to change the fix the climate change. And quickly, I want to go through what's happening here. So these are the major categories of water pollutions in agriculture soil and also in water. The first nutrient is the nitrogen, phosphorus, and the chemical and organic fertilizers. So these are the main culprit of the pollution, and the nitrate, ammonium, and phosphates. So here's all the ions which enters into the soil. If they are in a good balance, they're not polluting anyone, but if it's excess, it's going to pollute. And the pesticides, so more of herbicides and all the insecticides usage is also going to leach into the soil, and then it is going to leach into the water. And again, that's a problem. So one example is like people are using dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane. So this DDT is banned, but still there's an illegal use of DDT to prevent the plants. But most of the government or any other non-government organization, they're not well aware that the farmers are using such harmful chemicals, but still all the chemicals get into the food, and still we are consuming a lot of all the chemicals, which is also carcinogenic and not good for health. And also one problem is, like, once the systems are imbalanced, like you have a lot of salts in the water and total dissolved solids getting into the soil, and that's where called the total dissolved salts increases in the water. So we call it hard soft water. So once the water is hard, you cannot drink it. So we are measuring this as in terms of all the imbalances happening in agriculture. So most of the agriculture soil once get into high salt, and they automatically leaches to the groundwater. And this is also one of the big pollutants as such of sewage water or like other industrial water. So this is also responsible for high TDS in drinking water. So crops, livestock, and aquaculture, it influences those. The stars represent like how well their contribution from such system. In terms of sediment, and also like more turbidity and prone being drained, and all these salts get into the system. And also organic matter, like we call as a chemical or biological oxygen demand. So once the water is getting polluted, all the oxygen is being depleted, like more of chemical demand. So we have the biological oxygen demand and COD, which is the lab-based test that tells you how clean is your system. And also, on the other hand of the organic matter and chemicals, we also have the problem with the pathogens that's coming up from the agriculture field. say, for example, if the cattle is being infected and it discharges the E. coli from the fecal activities, and once the cow dung touches the soil with the rainwater, all the coliforms and enteric bacteria enters into the soil, and that's where, like, again, pollution for infections and the bacterial infection comes from. And also, we are using like lead, copper, and mercury, such metal being contaminated with the along with the pesticides and all the adulterations we usually get into the soil. They get into this water as well. So which is like lead and copper and mercury is a harm. Really, it's dangerous. It can affect your nervous system. And then also the hormones. So I want to insist more on hormones, because for the cattle production, for the chicken, for the poultries and whatever, maybe like we are using more of hormones to improve the meat for in a short time. So for example, one bovine growth hormone is a recombinant substance which is harmful. So I want to show a quick interesting slides. So these are the wet drugs and the chemical hazards in the food. You can see a cow here, which is a normal grass-fed cow. So we also have the problem, like the one company was trying to influence India to import these cows in field and promote growth hormone induced cows. I think which was a huge problem. I think most probably everyone could have remembered the problem. So imagine if the cow receives the recombinant bovine growth hormone, you can see the huge transformation. See, the udder is becoming so big, and the cow can't move freely, so it stands. They also have other hormones for the efficient feeding. So this is not good. So this is not harmful for the animal, but instead they produce the insulin-like growth hormone, as they call IGF, in the cow along with the milk. So this is carcinogen. So if you drink milk from such a recombinant hormone-fed cow, the milk is carcinogen. So the milk you drink is not good, and it's toxic and poison, and it has all the cancer-producing agent. So the farming is transforming so harmful of using such a transformations of artificial things to meet the global population. So progesterone, testosterone, all these few hormones are being used, and also happens with chicken as well. So they use mainly to increase the growth, feed efficiently, and improve the meat production. So this all adulteration that again it pollutes the environment, and also it's a carcinogen for the human consumption. So only one thing we can do is to manage the practice. Like, we need to inform farmers, like, fix it. So that's most things: diagnosis, prediction, and monitoring. So if you can control, if you can diagnose where the pollution happens, that's more important. And prediction, so predict what's going to happen, like for the weather, rain, and all those things, temperature changes. And then monitoring. So once you have such analysis, you can improve the farming. So what we have is a conventional method. The farmers, say for example, they have 10 hectares of soil. They don't test the soil. They don't have any type of facility. They're not informed about how the field looks. So just they do the fertilizer and do the normal farming rotations, and they keep on going. They're not bothering about the environment. So what's happening is that we don't have a testing facility. We're not helping farmers how informed about the field. So one good thing is test the sample periodically and see how much amount of nitrate is present, how much amount of nutrients is present, and then advise the farming system to use the right amount of fertilizers and nutrient, and then analyze the results. And also you can check the pH and the conductivity of the soil, which also improves the prescribed based on cultivation. So it has to be government backed up stuff, because farmers, I'm not sure they are well aware, like they don't have money to spend for such testing in the laboratory and have the patience to wait for all the samples. And that's where the gap is, like the huge gap. Once we don't fix this problem, it will be a huge problem for the agriculture, and in future it could be a food scarcity and famine, and we don't have the adequate food. It could be a ration system where you can't buy a 1 kg of tomato more than 2 days. Like it will be more limited. You'll be limited with all the food supplies, and you don't have a surplus food, and every family has to take a limited food than buying generously. So one thing we are into the field is I am into the real-time soil sensing. So that's my project. So since for due to the intellectual property, I cannot show you the project I'm working on, but I can fairly tell you like what we are doing is that we are into precision agriculture. So we are developing sensors that can read the soil nutrient and can intimate is we have linked all the sensors to the cloud-based system, and that tells you what's happening with the soil. So we have interlinked the soil moisture, temperature probe, conductivity probes, and also we have the mapping system of mapping how healthy is your soil and all the vegetative system. We have the NDVI, like a camera that can tell you the plants have the disease or not. So all these things being integrated into the farming, and finally we get the map what's happening in the field. But still, I'm pretty sure the farmers can't offer such technology to be more informed, but I'm pretty sure it has to be a government initiated system or where they can help farmers to improve the field. So only control measures is to be in the farm and landscape, and also like off the farm, where you can use the control measures to be more economic, using a very low cost instruments like pH meters or conductivity meters to check periodically how the soil is, educate the farmers, and awareness rising them. Not only farmers, even we can also be more aware, like we can grow our own food. We can try to involve in farming. We can as a part-time, or being like we can be involved in such system. We can grow your own food on your terrace with the available facilities, so that will minimize the burden of the society where you depend on agriculture for all the food. So soil testing is more important and improve the system, and also input like low fertilizer input in the soil, and also mapping, and more lab analysis, more lab tests whenever possible for the farming is also very useful. So this needs to have an agreement with the corporates and be cooperative with all the system, because most of the farming is being influenced by the other corporates, and they're trying to go. You know what's happening in Delhi, like the farming. They're trying to lease all the land, and they're trying to take all the land as a lease. This is more dangerous. It's going to kill all the farming. If the government is not supporting such farmers, I think it will be a huge problem. I know India's like 70% of the industries and GDPs comes from agriculture. If the government is not supporting and helping the private people to get involved in such a big mess up strategy, it's not going to help anyway. So we need research and innovation. So I think we lack a lot of research innovation to push forward how we are going to do and deal with such devastations, and help to fix the solution in future. So it's more important like to be more precise on how much we add into the soil. So these are the few things that we are working. This is the work from our lab. So I'm the key drivers of the sensor program, where we have the sensors for precision agriculture. We have different sensors for monitoring the nitrate, and that gives you how much amount of nitrate in the soil, and then we can top up the basic record quantity. And this is one good example, like it's called leaf color chart. It's just 100 rupees. We got it from India. I just bought it from Punjab University. So it's very nice. Like you see the color system, like once the color is dark, you have a lot of nitrogen, and once the color is very light, there's no nitrogen. So farmers can like use such techniques like to see the leaf, but if it's like 10 hectare, it's very complicated. So using such devices. So this is more interesting to see is that the leaves is so green. That means like the soil has a good of nitrate, but sometimes soil is more complex. You cannot test as such what we are doing. So we're using this pad and green seekers, soil moisture, lab testing, and we also have the instruments to control see how the carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide is being emitted from the system, and we have a different fertilizer rate input, and we are studying how efficiently we can manage such system. So I heard from Dr. Sabil, like most of the students are from computer science, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think this one good field I would like to suggest as a career development is the artificial intelligence in agriculture. I think more of the Western countries more focusing on such system of developing the artificial intelligence in agriculture. I think that is to control the digital soil and crop mapping, weather predictions, fertilizer recommendations, disease detection and pest management, adaptation to climate change, and automated irrigation system. I think you people of engineering background have a future vision, like this is one of the big field. You have a good scope of developing your career. It's a big data analysis, sensing technologies, software developments, and all the communication system, telematics, positioning technologies. So it can be a smart farming. But I'm not sure, again, as I mentioned, like whether these farmers will be using this such technology, but we should not push such technology to as a commercial market. Instead, it should be a beneficial for the farmers. So I think you have a good scope of focusing your career towards such systems, developing all the solutions to society, helping farming more smart and more precise and less that can reduce the pollution. So, for example, you can connect all the weather station, you can connect all the sensing, you can connect all the mappings to the cloud, to satellite, and then you can be more informed. So I think AI, artificial intelligence, is getting more hot topic, and also the data science and big data analysis. So that's the huge opening for the career based. And a good example, like I want to show interesting stuff, there's a robot in action, and also it's a good for robotics, the field. So this robot is picking the weeds, leaving the healthy plants. It can pick up the weeds, but again, it involves a cost and looks fancy, but I don't know when it will be possible for such system to be implemented, because science is more getting advanced at some stage. All these need to be in action. They also like a few apps develop farm grace. So such apps gives you where you get the information about your pesticides, in form of farmers about what about the fertilizer, how harmful is the pesticides, and how good is the fertilizer use, and where they get the cheap products. And this is kind of interlinking farming with the such app and keeping informed for them. So I think I encourage students, all the people who are more aspiring towards the combining this sensor technology to the smart farming, artificial intelligence is a good scope, and it could be a good area where you can, other than the IT field or pharmaceutical field, this agriculture is going to be the future. I'm damn sure. And the way the research is going in Europe and US, and I also have research in India, but I think this is a one good field where you can explore, which we can fix the environmental pollution and take a control of all thing in under one roof and keep control of everything. I think with that, I'm just concluding the presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to deal with that.
And a few queries from a student side. Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Okay. One question. Many of them telling it is due to vegetable. It is in the sense a new disease affected in Elluru. Many of them telling it is due to vegetables, but what is the main reason, and what vegetable got affected, and what is the solution for that?
You mean that's the unknown disease in Visakhapatnam, right?
Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I think I read the news, but I'm not sure what's exactly happening there. But it says that the pesticides went into the um, because they sprayed a lot of mosquito repellent. I'm not sure. It's not through the vegetable, but what happened is that they sprayed a lot of pesticide to keep the mosquitoes away. So that's the news I just read from the from the NDTV or like all the local channels. It could be possible. Like, so if you want to, I'm not sure whether it could be vegetable, but it's something. It quickly infected everyone. So I think that's something went on a pesticide or like a spray. That's a big problem. So still, it's until unless we get a proper investigation report, it's hard to say what happened.
Uh, okay. Why the government can't stop the chemical industries and improve the natural pesticides? I think it's not correct to point the farmers for soiling pollution. So the query is, it's like you are pointing, you are saying the farmers are doing all the things, and why we government can control the chemical companies.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like, I don't know, I appreciate the person who asked it. So the problem is like you have a lot of industries, pesticide industries, sponsored by a corporate. It's a multi-crore business, and you have a government, and you have an end users, a farmer. Okay, so what the company is trying to do is that promote the pesticide, influencing government, not informing how danger and how harmful it is, and they're promoting the fertilizers, pesticides into the market. The farmers they're not well aware of what the pesticide is and how it's going to harm the plant. So that's a problem. Like the government, if the government is aware about such system, they could prevent pesticide usage. But we have a large gap in such this triangle system where the government is not informed what pesticides are. The corporate companies trying to push the market, and the farmers they're not well informed, and the poor farmers they don't have any idea. Like they get all the pesticides. Say for example, some sales representative goes into the farmers as a marketing strategy, or goes into the local shop and tells this pesticide is really good for usage and it kills all the particular weed. So what the farmers and the local merchant does is he promotes such system, such pesticides to the farmer, and he uses for the field. So now we are more aware of like organic farming, organic fertilizers. It takes time. I think that's what like people like us, people like students like us want to get more involved in such farming system, and get involved, help farming. So not only like it's easy to for us to post supporting farmers and all this thing. I think it's more important for us to get involved in farming and see how that works off. I think this is a time if we don't act, the farming will be more of eradicated. So it's hard to find. If you don't have a food in our plate, then the real problem comes. Imagine like if you don't have the food, and if you don't have proper food, it's the food what we take is it's not healthy these days. It's completely pesticides. It's really not healthy. So I think it's more informed is that the farmers are not informed rightly what exactly is happening. So that's where the gap. As I said, we don't have this testing system. We don't have any control measures. The government is not doing any control measures. Whatever the product comes into the market, we don't have the testing facility. We just come directly to the market and we're consuming it. For example, like if any food is being imported here, they test every batch for the pesticide content, for any pest or how the quality is, and they pass. It has to get the clearance to reach the people. So there need to be such system where you have a proper testing system now and every then to see whether all the pesticides in the vegetables in control or not. It's not in. I say I pity for the farmers. They don't have such facility.
Thanks for clearing that. Another one is for farming in efficient manner, what should be the pre-measures in terms of pH level?
pH levels.
Yes. So what are the pre-measures we have to take care of in the pH?
It means sorry. It's the voice is breaking. Does he?
Okay.
Did he ask about the pH levels?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think we can maintain the pH level in the soil. Like once you do the farmer crop rotation, once every crop rotation, you need to have some kind of practice. Like you can, it's a kind of tillage, like where you have a rotation, like you till down all the crops into the soil, and that's being converted naturally from the organic compounds to the inorganic compounds. So if you have such balance, you can maintain the pH. So the pH should be normal, like around like 6 to 7. That's normal. But if you have more amount of nitrate, more ions or pesticides or any adulteration, the pH could be low as such, like 3 or 4. So that's bad. That's bad for the soil. If it's low pH, that means you have more ions, more amount of nitrate, or more amount of other than pesticides. A lot of problem happens. So if you want to keep the soil more ambient pH, that's good for the crop and for the yield. So I think the soil pH is more important. So if you don't have a proper pH, you don't have a proper yield. So that's why it's more important to test the soil. We have a simple pH meters, like it's cost you 10,000 rupees or something, 500 rupees. So you can test the pH, you can test the conductivity, you can test the all these basic parameters. You don't need to have a lab. So if you have such things, you can act in a proper time.
Well, another one, what are the direct effects of soil pollution to humans?
Yeah, the first thing is that the nitrate leaching into the soil. So once the nitrate leach into the soil, your nitrates getting the you get the TDS increases, hardness increases in the water, right? The first thing, and the nitrate is not good for a young children. It causes the blue baby syndrome. If it's too much of nitrate into the soil, it causes the blue baby syndrome, and it's not good. And this nitrate can also influence, affect the nervous system, which is not good. And other than that, the soil can emit a lot of nitrous oxide like methane, all the greenhouse gases directly from the field. If you go to the field, you can sense the smell of the all the gases and everything. So imagine how we are, India is like kind of agricultural land. Imagine like such all the land is, it can directly emit the greenhouse gases, which influences the ozone, and that's a problem of temperature increases every year. So it causes it contributes for the global warming. So it affects the below ground and also the above ground. It affects everything. Also the productivity of soil.
Thanks. And one more. Uh, do you think we can reduce the usage of artificial pesticides? Even government knows they can't resist them because they are contributing for economy. What is the alternative?
Yeah, this is again is a, it connects to the political
Yes.
question. Government is well. To be honest, I want to make clear, and I can boldly say that government knows everything. They are well aware of everything. They're not concerned about the people. They're not concerned about the people. To be honest, they know what's happening. They want to they. It's imagine like it's kind of a petrol. Like if you can minimize the petrol import and all the duty taxes, you can improve the economy. Same thing. If you minimize the fertilizers usage, you can also improve the country's economy. But rather than like the companies are producing more and we are using more fertilizers. As I said, like farmers, we need to educate farmers to how efficiently we can rotate the crop and minimize the fertilizer. So it needs time. It needs a proper education for farming. So if you want to convert that into, it's very hard to convert a system from one system to other system. Like if you go to the farmer, I'm going to do organic farming, I'm going to help you off. He's not ready to accept it. So it takes time. So once people get aware, like once they get a proper resource. If you give a proper resource to a farmer, if you give proper money to him, he has time to do everything for you. But instead, imagine for 1 hectare, it's hard to find 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees profit for his farming. Do you think like the farmers will be doing waiting patiently for initiating all such system? It's hard. So I think it has to start from the government, that starts from the society, and as a society, we have to be into the field and help everyone. That's what my thought is.
Good. And one last one. Even though there are multiple organic ways in farming, why still we use chemicals and pesticides? Again, the same thing.
Yeah. So it all depends. Like, so he wants to ask like why we are using chemical pesticides,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again it needs a local testing system. We don't Once you go for organic farming, it's very hard to see how the yield looks, how the result looks. So it's a very difficult question to answer, but we can minimize the pesticide or minimize the amount of the pesticides we use. But since with the natural system, for example, you can use a neem water, like you can use such a natural facility to kill the pesticides, but this is not popular at the moment. So it needs time to change the normal artificial practices to natural practice. It takes time. So I think there will be a change in such a system where we can bring a change of using the organic pesticides at some point.
Good. I think we can wind up the session. Saluguma sir. So you are okay then. I request Saluguma sir for vote of time.
Yeah. So, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
So I take the privilege to thank the guest speaker, Dr. Saravanan Rangaraj, for accepting our invitation and delivering a wonderful lecture on this particular topic, agricultural pollution, sources and solution. Okay. So I thank you, sir. I take this opportunity to also to tell the student to take this message as a take-home message. So these are the like 4 kind of things I have seen that it has been highlighted throughout this lecture. The first one, population, pollution and shrinking agriculture is the great challenge to the human civilization. The second point is, while intensive farming is essential to feed the population, the excessive loads of nutrient into the environment or into the agricultural field, it's going to cause the huge environmental problems. And the third point is proper diagnosis and monitoring of pollutants that is resulting from agriculture is very crucial. Okay. And fourth point is the real-time monitoring and developing some prediction model on monitoring the soil health and pollutant monitoring is going to be the like it's going to shape the future agriculture practices. Okay. And also SAR has highlighted the importance of artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data science that can shape the future agriculture practices, and farmers also has to be given proper education who are working in the agriculture field. So these are the highlights I can highlight from this lecture. Thank you, sir, for giving this wonderful lecture on this particular topic. I would like to also thank our department members and coordinator, Dr. Sabil, for organizing this wonderful event successfully. And also I thank the student participants for being attentive and listening to the lecture. I thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Salokmar sir. I think that's well said. I think you concised all my presentation in like 2 minutes. That's the real take-home message, and I'm happy to I thank Dr. Sabil to give a opportunity to disseminate such message from my side and our side. And I think it's a more common practice. We once we can practice and we can benefit out of farming. I think there'll be like 400 people on board now, right? I'm not sure
Yeah,
how many people.
exactly. Around 400.
Yeah, 400. So imagine this 400. They take this take-home message that like Dr. Salokumar disseminated. It could be a take-home message, and this 400 can spread into 4,000, 4,000 to 4 lakhs, and this is how the community has to be improved. So we as a community, we can help in farming. Thank you, one and all, and thank you all the students for patience, and thank you, Dr. Sabil, for giving such a wide audience and a platform for me. Thank you.
Always.
Shall I leave now, or is there anything?